Emerson wrote an essay called Self-Reliance, and in that essay he talks about the need for us to pay attention to our own interior resources. He said that we should learn to pay attention to the flashes of insight that we have. And Einstein, he said, "I often feel certain I am right while not knowing the reason." He knows he's right, but he doesn't know why. Why does he know he's right? He doesn't yet know why he's right, he just knows he is right. We all know those experiences. We can recognize that what he's saying is true. And it applies to, large and significant undertakings like his work, but it also applies to quite trivial things like how to adjust a cooking recipe. We get these flashes of insight and we just know that they're right. If we really think about this opens up the possibility that we have got a source of understanding that we can draw on, but we don't always pay it much attention. And one of the ways that I like to think about this is I draw a symbol which is essentially just two circles that overlap. They're equal circles and the circumference of each intersects each other's center. And so this gives this idea of something inner and something outer, but they're overlapping, they're in relationship. And what's significant here is that when Einstein is thinking about his new insight into space and time, he's not doing it in a vacuum. He's been pondering all along all the other information and facts and anomalies that were known at that time about the physical universe. So he's all of that's out there, that's preformed, if you like. That's kind of in the outer. But meanwhile, he's thinking about it, and out of that relationship, a new insight emerges. We're always thinking and evolving insight in relationship with the world around us. Our senses give us information, and we're also aware of ideas that are preformed. The word coherence means the quality of forming a unified whole. And this symbol represents that quite nicely. Here's two things, but they're in relationship and they form a third potential. So it's a unified whole. And that's really how our consciousness is designed to work. We're designed to have a balanced awareness between everything that's kind of out there, already formed, or that we're seeing and interpreting through our senses, and something more unformed and indefinable, which we have internally to ourselves. But we've been conditioned really to focus overwhelmingly on the outer bit, on all the things our senses are telling us. And we also have a model of sort of scientific reality, if you like, in which tells us that that's really what's real, is what's out there and what we can touch and so on. We have this model that we are made of, we're entirely formed, our personality is entirely formed due to our DNA and the influences and background as we were growing up. And then our sense of, our thoughts and ideas, they're just kind of electrical firings in our brain. And so that's a kind of a biological machine model that we have quite deeply entrenched in our semi-formulated assumptions about ourselves and about the world. And as a result, we've been conditioned somewhat not to pay attention to the flashes from within that Emerson is talking about, or to our intuition that Einstein was talking about. And even though this all seems rather subtle and innocuous, in fact, this leads to great problems, not only personally, but more widely in our society.